How's it going, everyone? This is Jake Menig at Therapist Talks. So I'm doing another reaction video. A lot of you have been asking me to do a reaction video on, I think it originated on TikTok. So I fell in love with my psychiatrist. So a lot of people wanted me to do that. So I am. So again, before I do this, again, I am not diagnosing this woman or anyone in this reaction video. I'll give my perceptions on it and my viewpoints. And yeah, so I'm not giving any type of therapeutic opinion on her or a diagnosis or DA. But yeah, this should be interesting, and I'll give my perceptions on it, and we will just go from there. Yeah, because this has been really blowing up on TikTok for the past, I don't know, week, maybe week or week and a half, I guess. So yeah, I'm really excited to get started. So yeah, let's set this up.
I fell in love with my psychiatrist, and he knew, and he kept me until I had the strength to leave after 4 years. Here it is, part 1. So I decided to go back on ADHD meds after many years of being off of them. I was on them in my early 20s to help me get through college. And then I went off of them because they just weren't, like, the side effects were too much over the benefits. But then in my late 20s, I read this book, Taking Charge of Adult ADHD, and it absolutely changed my life. For my fellow ADHDers, there's so many good things in here. And the biggest thing that I took away was that it's very important for ADHDers to be on meds. So I decided to make an appointment with a psychiatrist. I just
So, little shout out. I have ADHD. I've had it for a while now, so I can relate to some treatment options of that. But I think it's the same thing with any other disorder. Like, it can be really helped with medications and therapy, or sometimes medications are good, therapy is good. Everyone's different when it comes to like optimal results to anything. So, but yeah, speaking for me, medications have been really helpful for me.
Googled psychiatry in the city that I lived in, and I went with the first one that came up, and I got an appointment within a month. And then I booked a 90-minute intake, and I show up to the intake, and this man is my age, and I can't help but notice that he's pretty attractive, this psychiatrist.
So again,
and he kept me anyway, part 2. So in this intake, I kind of clocked that he was attractive in my age, but.
So again, we're getting into transference like behaviors. Again, I am not claiming she has transference to the psychiatrist. And also, I will say I feel bad for the psychiatrist too, because I think I heard she did out him in a video, and I could just really relate to him as a mental health professional, because you can't really defend yourself. She outed you, your name, and this person could be really harming your career, your reputation, yet you can't like defend yourself. So I really empathize with the psychiatrist. Again, I'm not saying any person's wrong or right in the situation or making any claims to that, but I just, again, feel bad.
When I tell you that I've had a lot of couch time in my life, a lot of therapy, I just went right into it. I trusted him enough, of course, why wouldn't I, to tell him about my childhood trauma, my daddy issues, if you will, what I had went through, all of the relationship trauma that I had. I was 6 months sober at this time, but like all of the drinking and substance use I used to do. And he just listened and nodded. And that's the thing about psychiatrists, is that they're good at pretending to listen. They can appear connected, but that doesn't mean that they're always connected. So I just felt really seen. And I also told him, I was like, look, I don't want to be on stimulant meds. So he listened to me, and he put me on the non-stimulant ADHD med at the lowest dose, just to figure out if it was going to work for me.
Part 3. So I hadn't ever seen a psychiatrist before. When I was on meds in my early 20s, I only got meds from my primary care physician. So I didn't understand how psychiatry works. So because he was figuring out my med dose, I saw him every month, and he just made me feel like I was his friend. He was really, really funny and cracked jokes, and told me he was impressed with my running that I would do. And yeah.
So again, as of now, nothing wrong. If you're going to take what she is saying at face value, it seems like they're forming so far a good, healthy therapeutic relationship or psychiatry to client relationship. Nothing's like too out of the ordinary through my professional lens. It's okay to discuss some hobbies. I don't think it's gone too far at this point. You know, you're just building good chemistry, you know, just like with human relationships or romantic relationships, like people just naturally have good chemistry with people or even friendships and whatnot. And the same could be in the therapy realm, or I can only assume psychiatry and patient realm, where you just generally have more chemistry with some clients, and there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, in a professional, respectful manner, though.
So, of course, I loved the attention that I got from him. And it was in my third session with him, because at this point we were all on Zoom, that I asked him, I said, "Hey, do you mind if I call you by your first name?" And he's Pakistani. So I said his first name wrong. And he said, "Well, it's pronounced this, but yes, of course you can." And he seemed so smug and happy with himself. And I know that that is because that was his first sign that him pretending like we're friends was working. And to be fair to me, I had only ever been to therapy before. I didn't realize that, it's important to call your doctor last name. I mean, I did know that. I did it with all my other doctors, but it just.
From what I'm getting so far, she has a really strong like detective mindset. She's like, in her viewpoint, I feel like she's trying to find hints or clues to back her belief up in a lot of ways. Just with the pausing and the first name, like that could possibly mean a lot more than it really does. But I think in her world right now, or her viewpoint, it means like, oh my God, he must be really into me and whatnot. Again, I don't know what's really going on with her or the situation, but she's really focusing on certain details that can maybe help her argument in the fact that he likes her more than like a professional relationship. But that's just what I'm kind of thinking right now. Let me know what y'all think of the comments down below. And yeah.
Showed that the boundaries were blurring, and he liked that. So from then on, from my third session on, I started calling him his first.
And again, how do you know he liked that? Like, did he tell you that, or is that just kind of like your perception of the situation? I'm wondering. So right now she's just finding, I sense that more material to back her claim up. Her claim as in, oh, he has feelings for me.
Name. And then he just started turning up the volume on us being friendly. And he would ask me, for the first 6 sessions, he asked me after the meds, he said, "How's your bowels, bladder, and appetite?" And I would say they're all normal. And then he would ask me any thoughts of harm. And apparently that's pretty common for psychiatry to ask those questions. And then on our 6th session,
and for mental health therapists, social workers, that's pretty standard. Yes.
When things were really, the chemistry was starting to be there before, like I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, this man is just friendly. And he said, "I have to ask this because it's a special interest of mine, but is there any thoughts of harm?" Like I was special to him. And I said, "No thoughts of harm." And he didn't ever ask me a clinical question again. He stopped asking me about my bladder, bowels, and appetite.
Again, taking what she says at face value, this is a special interest of mine. That could be seen as a little unusual. Like in a research sort of way of like you wanting to help people with suicidal ideations and whatnot, and you're doing research on that. Okay, but I don't see the benefit in telling your client that or whatever. But again, I wasn't there. I don't know the context. That's just what I'm telling y'all right now. So, but yeah, just in general, it's really standard that we ask that, especially during diagnostic assessments and whatnot, or it really or even through therapy where we gather information and it may determine if we need to develop a safety plan with the collaboration with the client.
And he stopped asking me about thoughts of harm. So to me, I would just show up and he was like a therapy appointment every month.
So I was seeing him every month and just gaining more and more respect for him because he would just tell me these little things about his successes and all of the cool things that he was doing in his life. And it made me fall for him, honestly. And he was really good at listening. And I mean, he's a Pisces, right? So of course he's going to be there.
Well, a good listener, you'd want all mental health professionals, therapists, psychiatrists to be a good listener too. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have feelings for you. Now, in the outside world, let's say you're hanging out with a friend or someone you really, really like, whatever. Yeah, that maybe could mean something or whatever because they have feelings for you. They're giving you extra attention. They're really attentive, or they're just really nice and respectful. But again, going back to the situation, he is her psychiatrist. Like that's what he is supposed to do. And yeah, and again, I hope other patients out there don't take this in the wrong way or whatnot, but that's just like in a way them doing their job because they do care about you and your well-being as the patient or client.
And be able to go deep with my feelings, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't extracting from them. Anyway, so I would beg him to let me see him every week. Beg him, because my therapist at the time, he was fine. He wasn't a predator, but he was fine. He just wasn't doing very much for me. And so
that predator comment was, that was deep. That was really, really deep.
That therapist retired and I got a new therapist. And this new therapist, who is a 75-year-old woman with a PhD, she was pretty helpful. So I stopped asking my psychiatrist, begging, honestly, to be my therapist and let me see him more, right? Which also should have been a red flag. But then I started focusing on this therapist. However,
like a red flag for who? Again, I'm not assuming it. Does she mean like a red flag for herself for like asking the psychiatrist to see him once a week? Or did he actually agree to see her once a week for therapy rather than like prescription management and whatnot, or med management? I don't know.
I would tell the therapist how obsessed I was with my psychiatrist, and she didn't do anything about it. She just was interested. She also loved stories about my dating life. And yeah, she also was getting supply from me in her own way, but that's for another part. So yes, so I got a new therapist who actually helped me. She taught me CBT, EFT, all of these different modalities. And so I went back to just being okay with seeing Irfan once a month while he was giving me these little breadcrumbs of making me feel special, telling me about his professional achievements, telling me about how he's getting international recognition. And it worked. I was really impressed. See me weekly.
All right, we'll stop there. I know I said 3, but it went by kind of fast, so we're gonna end at 4. And I don't know, give further viewpoints on this. So y'all heard what I obviously said earlier about this. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things I can react to is if I were her therapist. Again, just taken at what she's saying at face value. I'd want to dig deeper in the sense of like, what? Okay, she has feelings for a psychiatrist. Now dig a little bit deeper in that transference for her to him. And I would want to make sure that she doesn't get emotionally hurt or whatnot in the situation. Like, yeah, that's really tough. I would like to think that I would handle it differently than her therapist, but again, that's just taking what she is saying at face value. Again, the other therapists cannot defend themselves either in this situation, which is again really hard and difficult in all this too. So, anyways, I hope you all really like this video. I'm definitely going to do more. But yeah, if you have any questions or concerns or comments, just please leave the comments down below. And yes, thank you for listening, everyone, and be well.